Going back to my original line of thought, so why Africa, why now? One of the amazing things that has happened is if you're listening to the aspirations, what I like to call the aspirations of Africans, you can see that it's very strong on, development, infrastructure. We want to be a part of, we want to have an increased influence on the global market. And you can see that movement. But there's also an acknowledgement that we may or may not have everything we need, but we're willing to partner. We're willing to connect. But we want partners that will treat us as equal. And that's one of the things where I tell people in the West to really be sensitive with the cultural differences and the current tone of engagement. In the past, it's quite known that the West would go to Africa with the mindset of, oh, we're saving Africa, we're going to help you. That's not going to work anymore. In fact, that attitude or mindset is what has driven Africa, in my opinion, it's what has driven Africa's leaders closer to China. Yes, because people talk about the China, Africa, trade, what's going on there. Like it or not, approve of it or not, it's happening. It's strong. It's getting stronger. But when you look at why part of it is the fact that when China engages, they pretty much treat Africans as peers. Now, on the African side, they may not be reviewing the fine print. They may be signing things they shouldn't sign. Whose fault is that? In terms of how skilled, are they in their negotiation? How have they developed their negotiation skills? That's not the that's not the topic of conversation today. Maybe another time. But China-Africa trade is strong. It's been shaking, but it's strong. It's stronger than Africa's engagement, again, in my opinion, with other regions of the world. And I like to share it in a funny way to say China is Africa's new girlfriend, whereas maybe US or UK, where there was the old, maybe boyfriend, let me say boyfriend this time around, that Africa was like, yeah, you're not treating me well. I'm going to go find somebody that will treat me better. Now, the new guy may not be treating you better, but hey, you're hanging out with the person that you decide to choose. So that's something funny that every time I share that, people just laugh, So those are my funny jokes. I hope people laugh at that. So yes, that's something we need to look at is trade relations, right? What's the tone? How are you engaging? Are you bringing something to the table on the African side? What are you bringing to the table as well? So one thing I also want to acknowledge is that within trade with Africa, we have various stakeholders. We have on the African side, we have on the US side. In this case, because I'm sitting in the US, but I know people can be watching from Canada, Europe, different parts of the world. But think about where you are right now. We also have policy on the policy side, the government relations, but we also have the business executives, we have the innovators, we have the investors. All of those stakeholders, what we found is that not everyone is speaking the same language. Everybody wants the same thing, but not everyone is speaking the same language. And that's what led us to creating our Trade with Africa Business Summit that we hold annually. What we designed it to be was convening of all the stakeholders so that when we do talk, everybody kind of understands what role are you playing and how can we work better together, because at the end of the day, we do want the same thing. So I'm going to check. Okay, great. So I'm looking at time. I'm going to start winding down now. Again, this is the first episode. We're laying the foundation. What we also talk about, just to talk about some opportunities, we've talked about agriculture, infrastructure, education, imports, exports, right? Even if you're in the service industry, marketing, branding, communications, even journalism, if you want to start covering that story. We found ourselves to be playing a lot of different roles because a lot of the infrastructure, soft or hard infrastructure, we found to be weak or non-existent. So we've had to actually start, putting things together as well. We also provide training, support, consulting to help people. So the way I try to explain this is we're encouraging people to get on this journey. Get on the journey of developing trade, commercial opportunities, and building a business around this. And we also have stories that we share, like West Rock Coffee that started in Rwanda about 10 years ago. Today, it's become the world's largest roasting company for coffee. They just acquired a big firm in US as well. And when Scott Ford, who is a very, very dear friend, and he's been a supporter and sponsor of our activities, and whenever he talks about his work, it's incredible how, starting a project or a business in Rwanda has now grown so big. I'm not saying it's easy, but you have to start. What we are committing to do at Nazaru is to support you on that journey. We're not going to take the responsibility from you. We're saying, get on this journey. There's a lot of resources. There's a lot of research. There's a lot of work that has to go into it. But we want to support you and help you be successful on that journey. It's lonely to be on that journey. Don't go on this journey. Advice that I'll give you is this is not what you do to form a pack, and that's what we've done. We've created platforms. We've pooled resources from banking to government. We've pulled them all together because what we found is that in order to increase trade with Africa and to build businesses of the future, whether in technology or blockchain or artificial intelligence, we all need to come together. We have to come together. We have to share information. We have to partner. We have to trust. We have to educate ourselves as well. And that's what Nazaru exists to do. We are here for you. I'm committed. I'm committed to this. That's why I basically left corporate America to build this business, is because I realized that not enough people they're taking advantage or positioning themselves to take advantage of the opportunities that Trade with Africa presents. Do we have any other questions? Okay, the world needs, yes, John, you said the world needs computer programmers. Focusing on tech needs to be a part of. Absolutely. In fact, when you start thinking, and future shows, I'll go deeper into like entrepreneurship or even technology. When you look at the landscape, you look at what's happening in Kenya with M-Pesa and fintech, financial technology. Wow, they are actually leading globally. Now, again, the media, Western media may not be telling the story, but I'll advise you not to wait for the Western media to cover a story that already exists or that already happened. So what has already happened is Kenya is outpacing the rest of the world when it comes to advancements in fintech. When you think about population and the number of programmers and the number of technical capacity and capability, you think about Nigeria with what's going on with CC Hub and innovation hubs emerging, and the technology firms that are emerging from there, like Flutterwave and Andela, and different things happening in Nigeria. Nigeria is the largest economy. When you also think about the population, 200 million people projected, but it also holds about 60% of the GDP of West Africa sits in that country by itself. Nigeria is also projected to be the third largest country by 2050, next to China and India. So in terms of youth and technology, it's going to be huge coming out of Nigeria as well. So thank you for that, John. Just do it. Caroline, wow, absolutely. Get started. That's it. Get started. But I also want you to know you're not alone, right? Because when we started, you look right, you look left, you're like, who can you turn to? who's going to support you, where are the resources, where's the data points, and you realize, wow, it does take a lot. So I'm going to wrap up now. If we're not getting more questions, or maybe I'm missing since those questions, because it tells me I have more, but I'm not able to see them yet. But this is the first episode. I want to get a feel for directionally what you are needing, where you want to go, what information, because we have a lot of information and there's a lot to talk about. I also want you to check out our website, www.nazaru.com. And I know I did not introduce myself. I kind of feel sometimes maybe I don't need to be introduced, but I am the CEO of Nazaru, and I wear a lot of hats. If you really want to know more about me, I'd like to hear from you. My own personal page is toyinumesiri.com. There's a lot of information there. We've also started launching products, which is also information that we don't want to just keep to ourselves in terms of the retail space and farm to shelf and product to shelf. That's also something we're cracking the code on. And we just launched a new brand just a week ago, doing well. And we'll be sharing more. So I'm super excited. I have a lot of information to share. But to start, I'm keeping this at 30 minutes out of the gate and letting you decide directionally where this is going to go. So thank you so much for being here. I want to respect your time and hope to see you next week, Saturday, same time, 10 a.m. to 10:30 Central Time, 11 a.m. to 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. And cheers.